She shot him, dumped his body in the woods, and then organized a search party to find him.
Thank you for watching Why I Killed You TV. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share this particular YouTube channel and this particular video. I would greatly appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking about Taylor Wardlaw. Taylor Wardlaw was a woman out of Columbia, South Carolina. She was convicted in the connection with the 2021 killing of her boyfriend, 26-year-old Terrell Sims. On March the 24th, 2024, she pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter and was sentenced to 20 years in prison, with her earliest possible release being in 2038. Wardlaw and Sims had a tumultuous relationship marked by allegations of domestic violence. In December of 2021, Wardlaw reported Sims missing, claiming he left their home and did not return. However, police investigations revealed inconsistencies in her statements. A friend later came forward stating that Wardlaw confessed to her about shooting Sims during the argument and enlisted the help of another man, Eddie Brown, to dispose of the body. Let's roll this clip.
They hate you. You're gonna die. I don't want to do this.
Bump it! Twist it! Twist it! Pull it!
Investigators say 29-year-old Taylor Wardlaw charged with shooting and killing 26-year-old Terrell Sims.
She shot him, dumped his body in the woods, and then organized a search party to find him. That's the twisted story of Taylor Wardlaw, a Dollar General assistant manager who turned cold-blooded killer. On the surface, she was the grieving girlfriend and devoted mother. But behind the scenes, she was already planning a future with a new man, Eddie Brown, the same man who helped her hide the crime. While Taylor cried on the phone with family and plastered missing flyers around the neighborhood, Terrell Sims's body was already rotting in a nearby creek. This wasn't a breakup, it was a setup. Let's begin. December 22nd, 2021, Taylor Wardlaw picks up the phone and calls 911. She's reporting her boyfriend, 31-year-old Terrell Sims, missing from their home on Irving Street in Columbia, South Carolina. Now, according to Taylor, the last time she saw Terrell was 2 days prior, on December 20th. She said they had a fight and he left the house and never came back. Now at first, it looked like she was doing everything right. She took to Facebook, putting out urgent posts, asking people to help her find Terrell. But if you were really paying attention, like really paying attention, something in her energy was just off. The posts weren't just emotional, they were intense. Unhinged even. She was flipping between heartbreak and aggression like a light switch. And it wasn't just once or twice. She posted repeatedly, over and over, like someone trying to convince the world, and maybe herself, that she was frantic, devastated, and desperate. On December 23rd, she reshared a missing persons post from Terrell's twin sister, Monticello Sims. Just a simple, "Have you seen him?" But right after that, Taylor started getting hostile. She began lashing out online, telling people not to question her, not to ask her anything. Her tone, all over the place, paranoia, frustration, urgency. She even said she was too emotionally unstable to answer messages, claimed she couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't function. Then she tried organizing a search party, saying folks could meet her at the Dollar General on Monticello Road. But here's the thing, Terrell's family, they weren't buying it. Marcella, his twin sister, said Taylor kept calling her constantly, crying, going on about how she couldn't live without Terrell. But the more she talked, the more Marcella noticed. Taylor's story kept changing. She'd say one thing one day, then something completely different the next. And when you hear a new version of the same story every time you ask, that's a red flag.
I guess she felt like I believed everything she was saying. So she really kept confiding in me. And little did she know, every time she was just confiding in me, it was just her just telling on herself, little by little.
That part, Marcella started picking up on the inconsistencies, and once she clocked it, she couldn't unsee it. Taylor's posts turned even darker. She started threatening people in the comments, going off on anyone who dared say something negative. Then she started posting real cryptic stuff, hints that she wasn't in control, that she was slipping mentally, maybe even hinting at something more. And just when it seemed like it couldn't get any messier, boom. A friend of Taylor's comes forward, and what she had to say changed the whole investigation. This friend says Taylor showed up at her house late one night and straight up confessed, told her that she and Terrell got into a fight the night of December 19th, maybe early morning on the 20th. According to Taylor, Terrell hit her, and in response, she shot him 4 times. But instead of calling the police, Taylor called her new man, Eddie Brown, aka Youngsta. Let that marinate. Taylor had already moved on to someone new, and now that new boyfriend is helping her cover up a murder. Eddie allegedly helped her move Terrell's body out of the house, dispose of it somewhere, and get rid of anything that might tie her to the scene, including his ankle monitor. They were out here trying to wipe Terrell off the map like he never existed. Meanwhile, Taylor was online the whole time, putting on a show, playing the role of the worried girlfriend, the devastated mother, the innocent victim. But behind the scenes, she already knew exactly what had happened, and so did Eddie. But let's go back to the beginning. Taylor Wardlaw, born and raised in the Bronx, New York, later moved down south to Columbia, South Carolina, where she was working as an assistant manager at Dollar General. On paper, she was a hard-working mom, balancing her job and motherhood while keeping up appearances as a strong, independent woman. But behind that boss lady energy, Taylor had a darker side. People who knew her said she was controlling, impulsive, real high-strung. She had this need to know everything her partner was doing, every move, every text, every breath. And if she didn't know, oh, she'd find out. Her independence was real, but it came with a price: jealousy, insecurity, and some serious trust issues. Now in the middle of her chaotic world was one man, Terrell Sims. Terrell was born in 1995 and grew up surrounded by family. His twin sister Marcella wasn't just his sibling, she was his best friend, his ride or die. He was raised on love, on loyalty, on showing up for your people, and he lived that. Terrell had 4 young kids, and everything he did was for them. No matter what was going on in his life, he always made time for his children. He wanted to give them better, be better. But his relationship with Taylor, that was a whole different beast. They met in 2018, and things moved fast. Too fast. What started out as passion turned into pure chaos. The kind of relationship where one minute they're in love, the next they're at war. From the outside, you might have called it chemistry, but the people close to them, they saw the truth. This wasn't love. This was obsession, control, emotional landmines just waiting to blow. And Taylor? She wasn't just possessive, she was relentless. According to Terrell's family, she tracked his every move. If he didn't pick up her calls right away, she'd blow up his phone. If he said he was going somewhere, she'd show up, unannounced, uninvited, and ready to cause a scene. Even something as small as a casual conversation with another woman, that could set her off. She wanted to know where he was every single minute of the day, one of Terrell's cousins told investigators. It got to the point where if Terrell ran to the store and took too long, she'd flood his phone with texts accusing him of cheating. That's the kind of pressure he was living under, day in, day out. And while he was out here trying to raise 4 kids and keep some kind of peace, Taylor was demanding constant attention, constant reassurance, and total loyalty. It wore him down. Friends and family said they watched Terrell slowly become isolated, pulled away from his support system like he was stuck in a world that only revolved around her. And it just kept getting worse. The arguments escalated. What started as yelling matches became physical. Neighbors reported hearing the chaos spill out into the street, shouting, slamming, screaming. You didn't have to be close to know something toxic was going on behind those walls. Then came 2020. That's when everything tipped over. Taylor was 9 months pregnant when she called the police, saying Terrell had pulled a gun on her, claimed he threatened to kill her during one of their explosive fights. That incident led to his arrest. A no-contact order was issued. The court stepped in, trying to separate them, trying to stop something worse from happening. Taylor told the court she was scared, for herself and for the child growing inside her. Terrell missed the birth of that baby. He spent almost a full year in jail. And then, in August 2021, the twist no one expected. Taylor bailed him out. Yeah, after everything that had happened, she let him come home. Part of his release, he had to wear an ankle monitor, That was supposed to keep things under control. But let's be honest, it didn't. They moved right back in together, picked up where they left off, back into that same cycle. Love, fight, break up, make up. Even with a court order, even after jail time, they couldn't or wouldn't let go. That's the kind of grip they had on each other. A bond that was less about love and more about power, pain, and control. And that cycle? It was building toward one final tragic event that would change everything. After Taylor's friend dropped the bombshell, police zeroed in. The search for Terrell Sims led them to a stretch near Monticello Road. That's where everything started to unravel. But get this, while everyone was praying for Terrell to come home, Taylor was out making moves. Not to find him, not to help. She went to a pawn shop to sell his mouth grill. Yeah, not even half a day after killing the father of her child, she's in a shop trying to cash in on his jewelry like he was nothing more than spare change. Within 12 hours of killing someone she supposedly loved, she's out here seeing what his grill can get her in cash. That's what investigator Kavanaugh said. And honestly, that kind of coldness is hard to wrap your head around. As search crews combed the area, they found Terrell's ankle monitor ditched about a mile from a nearby creek. That alone raised eyebrows. But then came the real kicker. Police processed Taylor's rental car, and what did they find? A bullet hole in the hood and blood in the trunk. Blood that matched Terrell Sims. And it didn't stop there. Blood traces were also discovered back at the house they shared. Meanwhile, surveillance footage clocked Taylor and Eddie Brown, her new man and now alleged partner in crime, driving together between 4:30 and 8:30 a.m. on December 20th. Right in the window Terrell was last seen. That was enough for police to tighten the net and zero in on the location. And then came January 5th, 2022. That's when search teams found him, Terrell Sims's body, partially submerged in a creek. He had been shot 4 times, one of those shots in the back. The truth was out now, but instead of silence, or even remorse, Taylor hopped back online. She made another post saying, "The devil is putting in overtime, and that she's still one of God's favorites." A post like that? That's not grief. That's not guilt. That's deflection. That's someone still performing, still trying to spin a narrative where she's the victim, while the man she killed was lying dead in a creek. What looked like a heartbroken girlfriend, desperate for answers, was really a woman trying to outmaneuver the truth. But the walls were closing in fast. By January 6, 2022, police had enough. Taylor Wardlaw was arrested and charged with murder and possession of a firearm during a violent crime. Eddie Brown, youngsta, was picked up later, charged as an accessory after the fact for helping dump the body, clean the scene, and play backup in a cold-blooded cover-up. But it wasn't just the physical evidence that led police to the truth. It was what they found on Taylor's phone that really blew the case wide open. According to lead investigator Henry, once detectives got their hands on Taylor Wardlaw's cell phone records, a motive started to take shape. He explained that there had been a romantic relationship developing between Taylor and Eddie, and that it seemed Taylor had been preparing to leave Terrell for him. Henry said this plan might not have been fully formed, but it was clear there was some level of intent there. Taylor wasn't just entertaining Eddie on the side, she was considering a whole new life with him. And yet, despite Taylor pursuing another man, investigators said she had become increasingly agitated by the idea that Terrell might be unfaithful to her. Another lead investigator on the case explained that this hypocrisy was central to understanding Taylor's mental state. He said that Taylor had been calling Terrell repeatedly that night, her anger apparently spiraling as each call went unanswered. Kavanaugh believed that Taylor's jealousy, combined with the perceived betrayal, caused her rage to snowball until it reached a breaking point. Sometime around 3:30 a.m. on December 20th, Terrell's phone activity abruptly stopped. That, investigators said, was likely the moment everything changed. Henry went on to say that based on their timeline and the conversations they'd uncovered, it appeared Taylor had simply snapped. But snapping didn't mean she was out of control, because what she did next showed planning, not panic. She went straight to Eddie Brown. According to police, that move alone told them this wasn't some random outburst. It was emotional, yes, but it was also coordinated. Taylor knew exactly who to turn to and what she wanted to do next. As the investigation unfolded, Eddie Brown eventually admitted that he had helped Taylor move Terrell's body and destroy evidence. But his involvement didn't stop there. Police reports revealed that Eddie was fully committed to protecting Taylor. He had used his personal connections to obtain cleaning supplies in a way that wouldn't leave a paper trail. No receipts, no questions. He even walked Taylor through how to act once the missing persons report was filed. Investigators uncovered text messages between the two of them that read like a script for how to lie to law enforcement. One message from Eddie to Taylor stood out. "Say he left angry after you argued. Don't mention anything else." To make her story more believable, Taylor gave officers a list of Terrell's friends, people she claimed might know where he was. But here's the thing, she hadn't contacted a single one of them before filing the report. She was naming names, planting seeds, creating distractions, but it was all part of the performance, and it was a damn good one. Taylor didn't hold back when it came to playing the role. She handed over Terrell's phone records. She gave officers photos for missing person flyers. She even appeared visibly shaken when speaking with investigators, voice trembling, eyes red, full of concern. It was convincing enough that police initially treated the case like a routine missing persons call, nothing more. Just another young man who may have wandered off after a fight. But it didn't stop there. On December 27th, just a week after killing him, Taylor upped the ante. She organized a whole community search party. Flyers were printed with Terrell's face on them. Search areas were mapped out. She gathered volunteers, handed out instructions, and acted like a woman desperate for answers. But behind all that planning, she already knew exactly where Terrell's body was. What's worse is how deliberate she was about steering people away from the truth. Witnesses later told investigators that Taylor was oddly controlling about where volunteers were allowed to search. She kept saying certain spots didn't need to be checked, especially near the creek. One person remembered her flat out, insisting they skip the areas close to the water, pushing people instead toward neighborhoods and public parks. It was as if she had a map in her head with danger zones marked off, and she made damn sure no one went near them. Meanwhile, Eddie Brown, her new man and silent accomplice, stayed completely out of sight. He didn't show up to the search, didn't post anything online, didn't stand beside Taylor in any of her public performances. It was calculated. If anyone had started connecting dots between Taylor and Eddie, the whole facade would have crumbled. So instead, he kept low, played invisible, while she kept playing concerned girlfriend for the cameras. The moment news of Taylor Wardlaw's arrest hit the internet, the backlash was instant and fierce. Social media lit up with shock, disbelief, and pure disgust. People couldn't wrap their heads around the fact that she had the audacity to organize a search party, to cry on camera, to beg for help finding a man she knew was already dead. The very same man she had murdered. Her old Facebook posts started making the rounds again, screenshots of her asking for volunteers, giving updates, pretending to be in pain. It was chilling. Even Columbia police were stunned. Sergeant Jessica Nan described it on Snapped as just next level evil. And it was. The level of deception, the cold-blooded planning, the emotional manipulation, it went beyond what most people could even imagine. Sergeant Mitch Henry didn't mince words either. He said that Taylor's actions, shooting Terrell, dumping his body, then pretending to search for him, wasn't just shocking. It was a fully calculated strategy to cover up the truth and keep the heat off her. But no one took it harder than Terrell's family, because even though they had their doubts about Taylor, they never thought she'd be capable of something this dark, this cold, this final.
You know, the shocker in it was how you sit on the phone with me crying, hard down, crying. You know, before she got arrested, she was just crying on the phone with me.
But it's just a hard thing. It's just hurtful the way things happen. It just hurts the way it happened.
Losing Terrell shattered his family, but it hit his twin sister the hardest. The bond they shared, that was unbreakable, and his absence left a hole nothing could fill.
I ain't eat since yesterday. I might try to eat a banana, but I ain't ate since yesterday because I'm dealing with it differently. Because I'm trying to be tough because he wouldn't want me crying. He wouldn't want me all over the place like that.
She was holding it together the only way she knew how. Staying strong for her brother because she knew that's what he would have wanted. But the weight of the grief was crushing. And yet, in the middle of all that pain, all that betrayal, she still chose to forgive.
And at the end of the day, I forgive her for what she did because I can't have hate in my heart. I can't live like that. We have to forgive those who hurt us because God forgive us all. I can't walk around with hate in my heart.
It was a moment of grace in the aftermath of devastation, because while Taylor may have taken Terrell's life, she couldn't take away the love his family had for him or the strength they found in his memory. By March 2022, the case against Taylor Wardlaw and Eddie Brown was airtight. Investigators had built a timeline, connected the dots, and laid it all bare. A domestic homicide, followed by a cold, methodical attempt to outsmart police and fool the public. Every lie, every move, every cover-up, it was all on record now. Then came March 3rd, 2024. Over 2 years since Terrell Sims was gunned down and left in a creek, Taylor Wardlaw stood in court at the Richland County Courthouse to face what she'd done. And on that day, something unexpected happened. Taylor didn't fight. She didn't drag it out. She didn't force a trial that would have pulled every gruesome detail into the spotlight. Instead, she folded, entered a guilty plea to voluntary manslaughter, just like that. By taking the plea deal, she dodged additional gun charges that could have stretched her sentence even longer. The courtroom sat still as the judge handed her 20 years in state prison, 2 decades behind bars. Prosecutors called it justice, said she took accountability so the sentence was fair. But for the people who knew and loved Terrell Sims, it didn't even come close.
I felt she should have got more.
On what was supposed to be the first day of trial, 31-year-old Taylor Wardlaw changed her mind, and after being led into the courtroom in shackles, she pleaded guilty to killing her boyfriend, 26-year-old Terrell Sims. Rose Sims is his sister.
I wish she would have got life, to tell you the truth, about what she did.
Because how do you look at those kids, his kids, and explain it? Explain why their daddy's not coming home.
They still be asking where their daddy is. And it's kind of hard to sit down and explain to them, your daddy's gone. You could tell them that all you want, but for a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old, they're not going to understand.
Even with all that, Rose said she's trying to forgive, trying to move forward, not because it's easy, but because it's the only way to survive the weight of it.
Nobody's perfect. And I'm not saying that she was a bad person, because, she really wasn't, but it's what she did. It's what she done. It was the after fact what she did with my brother's body or what he did to him. And then try to lie, tell different lies that was not true.
So yeah, the case might be closed on paper, but for the ones left behind, the sentence is still being served every single day. But now I want to hear from y'all. Do you think 20 years behind bars is enough for what Taylor did? For taking a life? For lying? For staging a whole search party like she didn't know where his body was the entire time?
They hate you. You're gonna die. I don't want to do this.